Hey everybody, it's your good pal Dustin back with another episode of Turn It Around. We're on episode 22 and we are continuing the story of how God turns it around for Moses and for Israel. So Israel flees Egypt. Where we left off last time, God had just sent 10 plagues to Egypt. He had sent a plague of flies, frogs, locusts, famine, all sorts of other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. But the last one, the plague of the firstborn, was the straw that finally broke the camel's back, and Pharaoh told Moses to take the Israelites and leave. Even Pharaoh's officials urged them to leave and take all of their flocks and herds with them. So take all their animals, everything. They wanted them gone because they were afraid if they kept the Israelites, they were all going to die. God had even made the Egyptians favorably disposed to Israel, and the Egyptians gave them gold and silver and clothing when asked for them. So, as we can see, God has turned it around for the Israelites. They were slaves, and now they're free. Now they get to go wherever they want. But is that the end of it? God leads Israel through the desert. Exodus 13:17 through 22. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. For God said if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. Talking about the Israelites. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph had made the Israelites swear an oath. He had said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up with you from this place. After leaving Sukkoth, they camped at Etham on the edge of the desert. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. So God is leading the Israelites out of Egypt. He is leading them as a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire. What more do you need to show for God to show you his power? He is guiding you as a pillar of clouds and a pillar of fire in front of you. Excuse me. How can you still doubt him in this case? As we see here in a minute, something happens that makes the Israelites doubt again. Excuse me. God parts the Red Sea. God wanted to show Egypt that he was the Lord, so he told Moses to have the Israelites camp out near the Red Sea. God hardened Pharaoh's heart so that when he heard that the Israelites were camped out, he took his army and went after them. The Israelites began to doubt when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. Now, I'm not saying seeing an army of chariots and whatever else bearing down on you. I am not going to sit here and say that is not terrifying. That's terrifying just to even think about. You are a people who have just been freed from slavery, and now your former slavers are coming after you in all their military glory and might. And you have basically nothing to defend yourself with. But God still had a plan. Now you see, Israelites' doubt has once again turned things back around to being not so good for them. But God still had a plan to turn the Israelites' fortunes around and once again show and prove his power and that he is the Lord. Exodus 14:21 through 28. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving, and the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. Excuse me. God showed his people his power multiple times. He led them in a pillar of cloud, as a pillar of fire. He parted the Red Sea for them so that they could cross to safety, and even showed his power by annihilating the Egyptian army. I don't know about you, but if I saw all that one after the other, the 10 plagues were power enough to be one after the other, but to see all this one after the other, after the other, after the other, how can you doubt God's power? How can you doubt that He is Lord of all? But people being people, God showed his power by saving Israel. God wanted to show not only to the Egyptians, but the Israelites as well, his power one last time. Of course, if you have read Exodus, you know this isn't the last time. But I digress. God fought for the Israelites and protected them while they fled through the parted Red Sea. Only once all of Pharaoh's army was between the walls of water did God command Moses to let the waters flow again, killing every Egyptian that had chased after Israel. Israel no longer had to worry about being pursued by the Egyptians ever again. But even after the miracle of the Red Sea, God continued to watch over Israel. But every time the Israelites tested God's power, even after all they had seen, when they didn't have drinkable water, they complained to Moses, saying, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt just to die from thirst?" But God still commanded Moses to throw a piece of wood into what was undrinkable water to make it drinkable. And that's from Exodus 15:22 through 27. When Israel had nothing to eat, again, they complained to Moses, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt just to starve and die in the desert?" They didn't trust God that God would provide for them. But God did. He provided manna, bread from heaven, and quail for them to eat. And that's from Exodus 16. And again, as they kept going, they ran out of drinkable water and complained, "Why did you bring us out here just to die of thirst?" And God again provided water for Israel. And this time he had the water come from a rock. Enough water to come from a rock to, to provide for hundreds of thousands of people. And that comes from Exodus 17, 1 through 7. All of this, and the Israelites still continued to doubt and test God. God has shown them his power over and over and over again. They keep turning their fortunes around to bad because they don't trust in God, that God will provide and protect them. And God continuously turns things back around and improves their fortunes. God protects Israel because Israel faced more than just hunger and thirst on their journey. The Amalekites came upon them and attacked them. Moses instructed Joshua to engage the Amalekites while he took Aaron and a person named Hur to the top of a hill. As long as Moses had his hands raised in supplication to God, the Israelites were winning. At one point, Aaron and Hur had to hold Moses' arms up as Moses was beginning to tire. God delivered Israel and enabled them to defeat the Amalekites. Comes from Exodus 17, 8 through 16. God provided and protected Israel. He showed his power again and again and again. Because God will provide and he will protect. Because no matter what you were going through, whether it be financial hardship, danger, hunger, thirst, God will provide and protect you. God will turn around your fortunes. He will turn around your financial hardship, your hunger, and your thirst, and provide for you. And God will turn around the danger you face and will protect you and help you overcome that danger. Whatever that danger might be, it might not even be physical danger, but whatever danger you face, God will protect you and help you overcome. But that is as long as you have faith and trust in God, he will turn things around. And I know I say that again and again and again, and it's because it's something that we all need to be reminded of. I need to be reminded of it. I have faced so many things and began to wonder if God was even hearing me. But then I hear the song Turn It Around, which is what my channel is named after. I hear that song and I remember that it's not in our time, but God's time. But we need to trust and have faith in him. So remember to trust and put your faith in God, and He will turn things around for you. And remember that I love you, God loves you, and please remember to love yourselves and those around you. Until next week, bye.